This is Minutia Men with Rick and Dave.
All right, so this weekend, dropped the twins off at college, right? And
Did you get a little weepy?
I did. Yes,
Yeah.
I got a weepy on the. I've been weepy for
61 years.
Well, I haven't. But really, from the start of the summer, I started getting when we put those graduation. You know how when you graduate now, you get a sign. That didn't happen when we were kids, right?
No.
So you have the sign of the kids going out. Congratulations, Julia, whatever. Aaron. So that was like the beginning of the weepiness. But the kids. Not so weepy.
No, I know.
Well, with Lila, it was just a blubbering, I can't do this, blah, blah. The twins were like, it's getting dark. You don't want to be driving in the dark. Okay, let's go.
You know how I knew you were getting weepy? You canceled
poker.
You canceled garage poker, so you could have one more night with the girls.
Right. And it was, but now that we're empty nesters, dude, we are partying.
Oh, are you?
Oh my God!
Oh.
I almost stayed up till like 11 yesterday.
Oh wow!
I know, we're really
that's fantastic.
But I do. So this, you mentioned if I was weepy this morning, I woke up to go pee. That's not part of the story. And for whatever, I've been keeping their doors closed because it's sad for me to walk. Do you remember? Was it Toy Story 3? It's Toy Story. Is that the one that Andy goes to college? 3?
I don't know, one of them.
But there was that scene where his mom goes into his bedroom right as he's about to go to college, and all the posters are off the walls.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking that 12 years ago or whenever I saw him, like, God, that's going to be horrible. And
it was.
It's kind of.
Yeah, I went through the same thing.
But,
I feel your pain.
Yeah, but the good news is they can't. You still have to.
Well,
they're never leaving now.
That's why I would. If it happened a fourth time, I would not have any worries about it because I know exactly how it's going to turn out.
Yeah, right. I'll be back.
It's time for Minutia Men.
The following is a Tony Lasano podcast, an Opie production on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. This is Minutia Men with Rick and Dave.
Let me ask you. So when you went to college.
Yeah.
What did you bring to college? Like, how much stuff did you bring?
You know what I thought was going to be cool? All right. This tells you what
you brought your accordion, didn't you?
No.
Lederhosen? Did you bring the...
No. Did you ever get the Queen album, Jazz? It was called Jazz, and it was the album that had the song "Bicycle Race" on it. I want to ride my bicycle.
Yeah, okay.
Well, when that album first came out, it came with a poster
of
naked girls all bicycling.
Right, gotcha. Yeah,
and I thought to myself, all right, when I get my own room, I'm gonna get to put that poster on the wall.
Everybody in my whole floor is going to think I'm the coolest.
I put it on the wall for like 30 seconds, and I'm like, I can't have people walking in and looking at a poster of it. So I took it off again.
Well, and this may come as a surprise. I didn't have a lot of clothes. I mean,
I know. You're still wearing your 6th grade shirt.
And I had like one suitcase, maybe 2, I don't know. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Well, and this could be a difference between...
My records. I had my records. That was really the most important thing to me.
Yeah, I don't think I can't remember even bringing records. But girls, good God. I mean, you don't have experience with
no
moving females, and oh my God, it's lotions and it's little
lotions.
Julia, when she goes, where are my loofahs? Did you bring any loofahs to college?
I did not.
I mean, it was and it's like little hair ties to decorate the or little ribbons to decorate the what. And the room looks great.
Do they still have dorm floors? I think they had this at Sean's at Northern Illinois. Do they still have like a shower room for the whole floor?
Julia's in steerage. Julia's at Allen Hall, which is the typical.
Yeah, that's where Bridget lived.
Yeah, I mean it was, it's a good enough dorm, but it's Aaron is at IT and they have their own private shit.
Oh, how does that work?
Even how one got where it's the other. I don't know. Aaron, her roommates want to live there, and I don't know. She just
Okay.
But Julia, so we moved in Aaron first, and again, she's got like a common room.
Yeah.
She's got 4 people in their suite, and they got 2 people in a little room, and then 2 people in the other little room. But they got this nice common, like living room and whatever.
Yeah.
They got their TV set up, and then we brought Julia, and it was
a room with 4 walls.
It was cinder block. It was like, remember I don't know if you ever seen a picture of, I'm not going to equate this with the Nuremberg trials, but, but when you see the pictures of, like Goering sitting at his desk waiting, to be hung, kind of the same thing.
Okay. Gotcha.
But the food now, and we didn't eat, but the food is far better than it was.
Well, it couldn't be worse.
Oh my God, I know. I mean, what was your favorite meal at dorm?
The one I remember, and this was when I lived at Bromley Hall in University of
Which
Illinois.
was a little snazzier than the...
yes, but we didn't know that.
Yeah.
The one day they offered up something called veal birds.
What?
Right. And it was like and that's what they called them. It said veal birds. And I'll eat anything.
Right.
So
you
I
put
had
a pickle on something in your... Right.
I had the veal birds, and it was just a piece of meat. I don't know what. Maybe veal. Maybe veal. It was grayish. And on the inside there was some like white stuff. I had one bite of it, and I was like, this is not edible.
Yeah, I think I lived from 1981 to 83 on grilled cheese sandwiches. It was pretty much the only thing. And the crackling oat bran with ice cream. Do you remember that?
Sure.
Yeah. Speaking of crackling oat bran and ice cream.
Yes.
I got a story here. Too fat, not two as in TW, but a man who's too fat in Taiwan gets divorced after wife charges money for sex and conversations.
Okay.
So a man in Taiwan has filed for divorce after his wife demanded...
So he filed for divorce.
Yes.
Okay.
But it was after his wife demanded he pay her a fee every time they had sex.
Okay, I never even thought of that.
According to the South China Morning Post, the SCMP, in case you're wondering, the couple, known by their pseudonym Melania and Donald... No, it's actually Hao and Juan, tied the knot in 2014 and had 2 children. That's nice.
Yeah, it's very nice.
In China, having 2 children, you're like...
that's like twice as many as everyone else.
The man claimed that his wife rationed sex to once a month in 2017 and then rejected him entirely in 2019. It doesn't say what happened in 2018.
Yeah.
And in 2021, she then began charging a fee each time he wanted to have sex or even talk to her. Okay. According to Donald, or
how many times did he pay to talk to her?
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, I'm good with that. Yeah. According to How his wife told their relatives that he was too fat and incompetent. Okay. He first filed for divorce in 2021, but then rescinded it for whatever reason.
Oh, wait a minute. He was still having sex once a month?
Yeah, I know, right? What are you complaining about, dude?
That's fantastic.
So he, so do you know what she was charging him to have sex?
No, I'd love to know.
$15.
That's a good deal.
I was just in Amsterdam, and while I didn't participate, I could tell
that's a fantastic deal.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a friends and family discount.
Yeah, I'm on her side.
So he ended up suing her for divorce, and they are now. And actually, it says they're going through marriage counseling. Right?
Oh, that's nice.
But I got some divorce jokes.
Where the counselor's like, you know what? You should up it to like $30.
Right, exactly. We're not giving this away. Yeah. Well, I don't. What's the cost of living in? I mean, I guess $15 could be a lot in Taiwan.
Could be. Yeah.
I don't know. But I got some divorce jokes.
Okay. All
right, you got one?
Yeah.
Are you ready? Did you hear about the guy who divorced his cross-eyed wife?
No.
They didn't see eye to eye.
Right.
And plus she was seeing someone on the side.
Are these AI jokes again?
No, these are actually stolen from the internet jokes.
Okay.
How many divorced men does it take to change a light bulb?
I don't know.
Yeah, no one does because they never get to keep the house.
Oh, very good.
Right. And did you hear Mr. and Mrs. Apostrophe are divorcing?
No.
Yeah, she found him way too possessive.
There's a grammar joke.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
We can't do a show.
There might be another one sometime later in the show. I'm just saying that right now.
Holding it in your back pocket.
Stay tuned.
All right, we're talking about taking the kids to school. Like this is the season for school supply shopping, right? So if you've got younger kids, younger than ours.
Well, you know when the season for school shopping is? Like July 1st, you start seeing the signs.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. Huffington Post has a thing where they share funny tweets about various different subjects. I think I've previously brought some of them in. This is about school supplies. All right. The first one here. Remember James Breakwell?
Yeah, the unicorn guy.
Yeah, Exploding Unicorn. We had him on as a guest. This was his tweet. Me. What else do you need for school supplies? 7-year-old. Nunchucks. Me. They're not on the list. 7-year-old. Ninjas don't make lists. That's pretty good.
That's good, yeah.
Krista tweets, offered to pay 12-year-old to reuse school supplies from last year, and suddenly she doesn't need anything, and I owe her $200. I would pay that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Well, how many glue sticks do you still have in this house?
It's just ridiculous.
Right. It's every year you buy 7, and they use 1.
Yeah.
And by the time they're in high school, you have 75 different glue sticks.
Right. Slow Break tweets, Target is mostly out of school supplies and school hasn't even started yet. What's wrong with you psychos? Which I think that one to me touched a nerve. Right.
Because we would always.
Because it wasn't a priority.
No, right. You don't need anything the first day.
And actually, I wrote a short essay about this, if you'll indulge me.
Sure.
All right. This is something that is in my book, Father Knows Nothing. It's about this subject, and here it is. When other men find out that I'm a work-at-home dad, I usually get the same question. What's the worst part, they ask. And I have a stock answer to that question. It always surprises them. The answer is crafts. They think I'm joking, but it's something I face every day. I don't care if it sounds benign and harmless. It's the bane of my existence. I hate crafts. I mean it. I really, really, really hate crafts. If you're a parent of a young child, you know what I'm talking about. As soon as you walk into the preschool door, the teacher hands you, not the kid, some construction paper, crayons, scissors, and 3 cotton balls. We're making snowmen. It gets more and more involved as they get older. Paper ghosts, goblins, Thanksgiving turkeys, snowflakes, leaves, Indians, Valentine hearts, shamrocks, Mother's Day cards. When does it stop? It doesn't. 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, crafts. Is it time for the science fair? Great, load up on some supplies and start cutting, drawing, painting, pasting, and creating. Get some markers, paintbrushes, construction paper, cardboard, scissors, glue, silly putty, Play-Doh, yarn. Dad, my oldest son, said, this year let's make an exploding volcano for the science fair. Oh, don't worry, pal, I said. I can almost guarantee you an exploding volcano. Religious education is no escape from crafts. Every year at Easter time, you can bet we'll be making a cross. Shouldn't we be allowed to resurrect last year's cross, I asked? It's thematically appropriate. It's a new day. It's a new craft. Here's a big blob of clay and some shellac. Make a duck. Here's a stick, a leaf, a blade of grass, a jar of Elmer's glue, and a tongue depressor. Make Benjamin Franklin discovering electricity. I hate crafts. Now, if you'll kindly excuse me, I'm looking for a shoebox, a carrot, 3 jelly beans, a bag full of mini M&Ms, and a quarter. My son and I have to make a diorama of George Washington crossing the Delaware.
Well, and, there are parents, mostly women, I think, although some of those, that are just fantastic at this.
Oh, I know.
Right? And they raise the bar for everybody else.
I know. My
come.
sister loves doing crafts. She doesn't have any kids.
Yeah.
But she loves doing crafts. She's a teacher. She just loves it.
Yeah.
I just do not, that does not compute for me.
And those dioramas that we had.
The dioramas are the worst.
God, I remember doing one for the first post office.
Yeah.
I don't know why. And I made the little, post office, and I got a plastic horse or whatever put next to it. I made a little bar, then put a little leash and whatever. And I was so proud of it. And
I know.
And my mom goes, the horse is much bigger than the house. You can't do that. Hey, we got a review.
Oh,
Barton Fink.
Barton Fink, is
that's
that a
the
movie?
guy.
Okay.
That's what John Turturro, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. 2 words. Refreshingly cynical.
Oh,
that's on Potable.
Okay.
So if you do, please come on.
Now, you get offended by people calling
you
cynical.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Not
Have you
anymore.
come to grips with it finally?
No, it's
you
part
are
of
who
it's
you are.
Part of who I am.
All right, it's time for another feature.
Time now for Studio Walls.
And the words of the prophets were written on the studio walls. Rick and Dave!
So this is the part of the show where we reach into the Rick and Dave archives and we pull out some classic audio of some kind that ties into this week in
It's
history.
called repurposing content.
It is. And this week is the birthday of Don King. Remember Don King?
Sure.
So Don King has never been on this show.
He's dead, isn't he?
Is he? I think he's still alive.
Oh.
But he's never been on this show. But we have talked to somebody who had an encounter with him, let's put it that way, and that was Mark Giangreco, who is a famous sportscaster here in Chicago. He made a joke one time about Don King, and it didn't go well. We'll play you that feature right here.
Don King had ripped off a bunch of young local boxers, and we had done a story on these three kids who didn't get their money and, weren't given what they were promised. And, Don King ripped them off like he did a lot of other people.
Right.
So we did that story, and I came out and said, what do you want from a murderer?
Yeah.
And
he actually was convicted of that.
well, here you go. His lawyers were in town, happened to hear it. They went nuts. They called the station. Of course, management wouldn't back me. They freaked out. So they wrote an apology that I was supposed to read on the air. Well, I kind of ad-libbed around it and said, I'm really sorry for calling Don King a murderer. Technically, it was manslaughter. Oh, gee. Okay. And you got to apologize for that. And then I made fun of Aretha Franklin's weight one night, which, I shouldn't have. But that was not racist. That was just being unkind to an overweight person.
Right, exactly. That was
probably shouldn't
weightist.
have done that either because she was at the Chicago Theater. And, at the end of the newscast, whenever there's a prominent celebrity in town, they give you a little clip and you end the show with, hey, over at Chicago Theater, it's the great Aretha Franklin, and show about 30 seconds of the song. And they come out and Ron Majors goes, the Queen of Soul. And I said, she looked more like the Dairy Queen of Soul. Dang. All the TV critics ran with that.
There he is, Mark Giangreco.
Well, he ended up getting
fired, yeah.
But for really benign.
Yeah.
Didn't he make a reference to, was it Cheryl
Burton, I think, yeah.
That she can play the ditzy neighbor on a
Something,
sitcom or
yeah.
something, and that was the final.
That was it.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
He. Do you also remember? I don't know if he's listening live. I'm a huge fan, but remember after he was on our podcast, he contacted us to wondered about doing his own podcast and how much money we made doing it.
Yeah.
They were like, sweet little naive Mark.
Such a nice man. And,
we patted him on his head. And
like, you guys sound like you're having fun. Boy, you must be making a ton of money.
Hey, fire up the Florida jingle. Can you do that?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I had momentary lapse of reason.
What's wrong with you, Florida?
Tampa doctor couldn't hear colonoscopy patient scream because he wasn't wearing hearing aids.
Oh.
A Tampa gastroenterologist, I had to actually practice that word like 9 times.
Did you?
On the way here, was placed on probation following a Florida Department of Health investigation into claims that he wasn't wearing his hearing aids and couldn't hear the screams of a patient who woke up during the procedure. Okay.
Oh, boy.
According to the complaint, butt hurts. Dr. Ishwari Prasad was performing colonoscopies on 2 patients in June of 2023. Here's my first question. Are you doing them at the same time? Right?
Yeah, right.
I mean, I don't...
You got 2 hands.
Was it a Groupon?
I mean, how hard could that be? You got a hose here, you got a hose here. Zing, zang.
So he was performing colonoscopy, but the report claims that during one of the procedures, so maybe it wasn't at the same time, Prasad began inserting the colonoscopy scope before the patient was fully sedated. It goes on to say that the patient began yelling, but the doctor did not hear it because he didn't have his hearing well.
That's not good.
Right. The surgical team also couldn't communicate with Prasad because he wasn't wearing his hearing aids, right? The patient woke up, traumatic experience, blah, blah, blah. Obviously horrible.
Right.
And he's also accused of allowing an unlicensed surgical technician to perform part of the procedure. So maybe it's not a very well written art.
Well, I think that person might have told him that, and he just didn't hear it. Like, hey, I'm not licensed. Can't hear you.
Yeah, you know what? He's just bullshitting at this point. But this is not the first time it happened. In 2018, the exact same thing happened.
Same guy?
Not the same colonoscopy, not the same patient, but the same doctor. Yeah, I'm not going back to that guy. What are you, crazy?
This is just as bad as last time.
A couple of things. All right. First off, I can't do a colonoscopy story without mentioning, and I'm not bragging, that I've been told by medical professionals that I have an impressively large colon.
Yeah, I believe you said that last week.
And you know what they say about men with long colons, right? Second, I didn't get anesthesia during my colonoscopy. I mean, I got that kind of Twilight Daisy stuff. Right?
You didn't, for real?
No, I was relaxed and couldn't feel anything, but I was awake during it.
You were?
Yeah.
I was put under totally.
No, they gave me this kind of Twilighty. I mean, I can't really remember, but I remember. I don't think I was completely out. Maybe I'm wrong.
Wow.
But then again, I was in the midst of AFib at the time. It was about to be rushed to the emergency room anyway. So maybe I don't know. But I don't think it was complete. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
I think you might be.
And thirdly, I have a divorce and a colon joke.
Oh, okay.
See, you know how I teased the beginning of it? Did you hear that Santa and Mrs. Claus have decided to split up?
No.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. However, finding a divorce lawyer in the North Pole is like next to impossible. Evidently, there are not a lot of Jews, I guess, in the North Pole, right? Probably can't get a podiatrist anyway.
Yeah.
So you know what they did instead? A divorce lawyer?
What?
They got a semicolon, because those are great at separating independent clauses.
Oh my God!
That was the longest setup for the shittiest joke ever.
You sure that's not an AI joke?
No, I refuse to use AI. I'll cut and paste, but
all right. I have something that was sent to me this week, and actually it was sent by Tony Lasano, our executive producer. It's a clip from an old Price is Right show. All right, I need to set this up a little bit. Bob Barker. That's how long ago this was. He's been dead for years.
Okay, is he written out?
And he hadn't been doing the show for even longer, right? In this clip, Bob Barker has just shown the contestant 3 potential prizes. Right, first one is a bookshelf.
Okay,
and after the model does the hand gesture, I don't remember her, Carol Merrill.
Can I ask a question not to do it? When you were a little boy,
oh yeah,
the Price is Right ladies.
Oh yeah,
not bad.
Oh yeah. Did the hand gesture over this bookshelf, and something caught Bob's eye. All right, now he goes over and talks to the model, and this is what happened.
There they are. I'm interested in this book. Is that Hitler? Young Adolph? There's a book back here, Young Adolph. I want to read. Excuse me. No, I don't think it's about Hitler. I thought that would be interesting. A story of Hitler's youth. Am I the only one who thought that was interesting? I can tell I am. All right, now pick out the most...
Okay, so I mean, that's it. I mean, there's nothing more to it than that, but just the weirdness of just the spark in his eyes. Like, is that about Hitler?
He was a painter back in Austria.
I'd love to read. What is he like as a youth? What was he like?
Was he a good soccer player, football player?
Exactly. Yeah, so that is Bob Barker, and
that was some of the weirdest.
Isn't that something? I mean, it's not necessarily funny, but
it's pretty funny.
It's pretty darn weird. And to quote Adam Sandler from Happy Gilmore, "The price is wrong, bitch." That's you remember that's a famous saying. All right, it's time for another feature. I think we call this one Celebrity Potpourri.
A random name pulled out of Rick's bowl of brushes with celebrities. Mixture, collection, selection, assemblage, medley, assortment, variety. Time now for Celebrity Potpourri with Rick and Dave.
So this one comes to us via email from Monica. And Monica writes, back in 1996, I was a delegate to the Democratic National Convention from Illinois. That year, like this year, it was held in Chicago. And I got a chance to meet people like Vice President Gore and First Lady Hillary Clinton. But the person I was most excited to meet on the first night of the convention was Christopher Reeve, the man who had played Superman. He had just become paralyzed a few months earlier, so he was wheelchair bound. But I was one of the people who helped him backstage that night. He was gracious, nice, and wonderful, just like I expected Superman to behave. The stars they have at this year's convention are impressive, but none of them are Superman.
Wow.
That's a very nice note.
You know, so we live in Chicago, and I haven't noticed. I mean, I haven't been driving around the United Center or whatever.
Yeah.
But there's not really. I mean, the buzz on TV was very enthusiastic, but we're not.
Well, a lot of companies have told their employees not to even go downtown.
Yeah.
Because the streets are all blocked out. I went to the Cubs game yesterday. No traffic.
You know, I didn't have traffic coming here. Oh, I didn't even think of that. Huh.
So you know, they can come here whenever they want, as far as I'm concerned. Well, you know, if it gets rid of traffic, it's okay by me.
Right, and if we have a horrible riot like '68, could clear it out for days.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Exactly. All right, we have people to thank for the show.
Shouldn't we do a tease of Jet Jurgensmeyer or no?
Oh yeah, because we do have another show too.
Yes, we have another show, and Jet Jurgensmeyer.
Yeah, Jurgensmeyer.
I believe the only guest we've ever had that kept on calling us sir.
I know. He's a nice young man from Nashville, Tennessee.
Big music guy, big television star.
Yep. He was Spanky in the Little Rascals movie.
And he was like Slinky in something else.
I think he was the only guy we've ever had on the show was both a Stinky
and a Spanky.
Yeah.
But he was a very, very nice kid. And you can just mosey on to
Minutia Man's celebrity interview and listen to
it. Which will be on by the time this airs. So,
all right, now we have people to thank.
Right.
All right, who should we thank?
Well, Tony Lasano.
Sure.
I mean,
Opie shows.
Anybody who sends us a clip of Bob Barker and Hitler,
right?
He gets a
double thank you this week to Tony.
Ed Silla, my God,
right?
He distributes
Radio Misfits Podcast Network. Great Talk Radio isn't dead; it's just moved to a better place. RadioMisfits.com, and we'll be back again next week with a brand new episode of
Minutia.
The proceeding was a presentation of the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. Find our other great shows on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and at RadioMisfits.com. Thank you.
This has been a presentation of Opie Productions.
Tony, can you shut up?
The price is wrong, bitch.
I think you've had enough. No?